After the presidential race, the next big decision for North Carolina voters is the governor's race. News 13's Victoria Dunkel is live at the polling site in Fletcher this morning.
And Victoria, you're tracking some of the latest polls. What are you seeing and what do they show this morning?
Well, when the governor's race is checked out on the polls, it shows that it's not really mirroring the presidential race. That one's very tight. This one is looking like the gap is even widening more in the favor of Pat McCrory, the Republican candidate, the former mayor of Charlotte. Now, this race is putting a newcomer, McCrory, he's a newcomer to state politics, up against a man who's been the second in command for our state. That's Walter Dalton. Now, Dalton is a native of Rutherford County, and as I mentioned, he is the lieutenant governor. He's running as the Democrat for this race, but the latest polls, Rasmussen poll recently surveyed a variety of voters here in our state, and it showed that about 54% support McCrory. Supporting Dalton, it's about 35%. 1% prefer someone else, and at this point, a sizable 10%, and this was about a week out from the election, a sizable 10% of voters said they're not decided yet. But when you've got a 54 to 35 difference in that polling, that 10% may not be enough for Dalton to sway. So it's looking like that Pat McCrory is in a solid lead and in a situation like this. But of course, it does come down to the votes that are cast today. People are going to be heading out to the polls. Yes, it is raining right now, but we got a couple hours here until the polls open, and you have time. So just keep that in mind. Bring an umbrella. You can still get out and make a difference and make your voice heard. By the way, the polling site's open at 6:30 this morning. They're open until 7:30 tonight, and News 13 is your space to see all of the coverage here on TV, online, and on our social media. Reporting live in Fletcher, Victoria Dunkel, News 13.
The faces representing the people of Western North Carolina in Congress could be changing.
That's right. News 13's Victoria Dunkel is live at a polling site in Fletcher. And Victoria, for some folks, it's a guaranteed change no matter who wins.
That's exactly it, because we're talking about this being the first time that many people have voted in the newly redrawn congressional districts. Of course, there was a bunch of controversy and concern over the redistricting map that came out, and it shifted a big chunk of Asheville into the 10th congressional district, and it pulled that from the 11th congressional district. And speaking of that 10th district, we're talking about the game changer here, because pulling the big portion of Asheville into the district that currently Representative Patrick McHenry is representing, he's the Republican incumbent, it shifted and brought in a higher number of traditionally Democratic voters. He is taking on Democrat Patsy Keever, who is a former Buncombe County Commissioner, for this position. When I was doing a little checking here, the redistricting shifted, and at this point, that 10th congressional district now shows the advantage to the Democrats. Now, on the other hand, the 11th congressional district, which of course is Heath Shuler's district right now, is up for grabs with Hayden Rogers, who is Heath Shuler's former chief of staff. He is trying to get the seat and hold on to it for the Democrats, and he's taking on Mark Meadows, who is a businessman, Republican, going for that position as well. When the shift happened there, the 11th congressional district became primarily advantaged to the Republicans. We will have to wait and see what happens as the voting takes place. But back out here live, the rain is coming down a little less steadily. It's still pretty steady, but it's not as heavy as it was last time I saw you. Coming up in our next half hour, I'm hoping to get a moment with some of the folks who are starting to show up to set up this polling site, see what they're expecting as far as turnout today. But like Jay said, grab an umbrella and make sure you wear a warm coat, but get out and vote. It is your voice, and it is your turn to be heard. Reporting live in Fletcher, Victoria Dunkel, News 13.